All right, thanks, guys. Boston's at Cleveland, 8:30 tip-off in the East. The Cavs are the 6.5-point favorites with a total at 205 flat. Currently, Cleveland's laying $2.80 on the money line, and at the moment, 64% of the public bettors are backing the Celtics, so look for them to lose half a point or so by tip-off if that trend continues. And speaking of the trends, we're going to get into those in just a second, but first I'm going to go ahead and break down the early line movement in this one. It's going to tell us what the books are thinking, as well as what the betting public is thinking as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. And when the markets open this one up, they actually open it up with the Cavs minus 5.5, despite being down 2-0 in this very series. They also opened this one at a relatively low number on the total at 204.5. Pretty commensurate line with the way that this series games have been going, though. Very low scoring. But since the markets opened this one up, we are seeing a good amount of movement on both the number, line, and the sides. We're also seeing most shops shaded toward the Cavs and the over. Right now, the markets moved this one up to Cleveland minus 6.5, with the total also moving upward to 205 flat. Currently, the Cavs are the $2.80 favorites on the money line, a 15-cent shift upward in favor of the Cavaliers. But at the moment, we're actually seeing a little buyback on the handle here, as just 36% of the current tickets are leaning toward Cleveland. So look for them to shed half a point on the number by tip-off if that trend continues. So if you like Boston this one, I wouldn't wait too long, as we're probably looking at your most advantageous number in price, catching 6.5. And if you're liking the Cavs to get the job done, you might as well sit tight, as your equity should improve by game time. And speaking of game time, a couple of trends in this one that you may want to pay attention to. First, the Celtics have been victorious in 7 of their last 8 straight up. Boston's also been a phenomenal 9-2 ATS in their last 11 playoff games. Meanwhile, on the other side, Cleveland's done pretty well themselves, going 7-3 straight up in their last 10 playoff games on their side of things. Now, total-wise, this one once again opened up at 204.5 and has since moved upward to 205 flat. But contradictory to the line move, the trends say both squads' games have gone 3-1 to the under in their last 4 contests. So with those conflicting variables in mind, personally, I'm going to take a free pass on the total in this one. And actually, when it comes to the sides, it's quite apparent that I made a clear-cut case for Boston. That said, though, I'm really hesitant on betting or fading LeBron James facing a 3rd straight playoff loss. It just doesn't happen. So when it's all said and done, I hope this information has been useful, and best of luck to you. But believe it or not, I'm actually taking a free pass on this one. So let's go ahead and slide into some MLB action. And I will be making a play on this game. Let's just go into Saturday. We're going to scroll down. We got the Phillies and Cards tonight. And I'm going to really surprise you here, because we are going to tail that series. We're going to go back into Philly, St. Louis tomorrow. And that is a 2:15 first pitch in the East, 2:15 Eastern Standard Time. The Cards are the $1.15 favorites on the money line. Totals at 9 flat. Fightins get the 1.5. And at the moment, we're seeing a steady and consistent fade of the Cardinals in the early going here, so look for their money line price to get better for their backers if that trend continues. And speaking of the Cardinals, we've got John Gant for St. Louis, Zach Eflin for the Phils. And before we get into this Phils ball club, let's just go ahead and break down the early line movement real quick, as the Cardinals actually opened the betting as the $1.30 favorites on the money line, with the total at 8 flat. And since those markets opened this one up, no real surprises here, as we're seeing ourselves a steady and consistent fade of the Cardinals in the early going here. Right now, St. Louis is just $1.15 on the money line, with the total actually shaded toward the over in the early phases here. Once again, total opened at 8.5 and has since moved up to an even 9 runs. And if you like laying a lot of juice, The Phils are getting the 1.5 on the run line. And speaking of Philadelphia, they've won their last 3 straight, and they were victorious in 7 of their last 8. This Philly squad has also posted a record of 13-9 in their games as the official Vegas underdog. They're going up against a St. Louis team who's struggled as of late, dropping 4 out of their last 5 ball games. The Cards also haven't won a game at Busch Stadium since the 6th of May. Ouch. Now, scoring-wise, bunch of unders between both of these squads. 3-1 to the under in the Cards' last 4. 4-0 to the under in the Phils' last 4 themselves. So with all those consistent complementary factors in mind, I'm going to fade the public bettors and take the under 9 flat in this one. I'm also going to fade this Cardinals ball club, who's winning just 35% of their games, played at the current moneyline price. So all told, I'm going to take the Fightin' Phils catching even money, along with the under 9 runs in this one. Next and final game for the show, we're going to slide into the NHL, and that is going to be not the Jets and the Golden Knights. That is tonight, but we're talking about Saturday, Washington at Tampa Bay. Now, that's going to be a 7:15 puck drop in the East. The Lightning are the heavy $1.70 favorites on the money line with a total at 6 flat. Currently, the Caps are plus 1.5 on the puck line. And at the moment, we're seeing a slight fade of the Capitals in the early going here. So look for their price to improve by puck drop if that trend continues. And speaking of the trends, well, to be honest with you, there's only one consistent trend in this one that sticks out to me. And that trend is if you're on the road, you're going to get the W. The series is knotted up at 2 games apiece, with the road teams going undefeated thus far in the series. Washington's winning around 70% of their games that were played at the current moneyline price. Meanwhile, Tampa's winning around 70% of their games that were played as the official home favorite. Now, scoring-wise, not a whole lot to work with there as well. Out of the series' 4 games thus far, 3 out of those 4 resulted in a push. Just got 1 over. So based on the trends, I don't have a real strong lean toward either side when it comes to the scoring. And when it comes to picking a winner, a trends-based decision would say that Washington on the road catching plus money is the right play. But all told, I don't have this game on my ticket. I'm taking a free pass, but best of luck to those taking action in this one.